I am fantasy and paranormal romance author Leslye Penelope, and welcome to My Imaginary Friends, a look behind the scenes of an author mapping the worlds in my head and making them a reality. Hello, friends. Today is Friday. Oh, wait, am I muted? I'm not. Today, let's start over. Hello, friends. Today is Friday, December 12th, 2025. And this is episode 254 of My Imaginary Friends. I'm Leslye. As a reminder, you can sign up for the Footnotes newsletter, which includes the show notes for each episode, as well as inspiration, strategies, and ideas to help you grow as a writer and a creative. That's at myimaginaryfriends.net/footnotes. When you sign up, you can become an imaginary best friend for a few dollars a month and get access to discounts on courses, premium posts, and extra bonus things that I do. So, this week's best thing. This week's best thing is that I got to rest a little bit from writing. I mean, I still showed up every morning for my writing time, but I'm not. I will get into the writing update because that leads right into there. First, before the writing update, I do have an announcement. The Ink and Magic Writing Retreat is back for 2026. So if you are a writer at any stage, we're having two events next year. I'm really excited about the writing retreats, and there's going to be the normal writing retreat will be the third time we've held it in May outside of Baltimore, Maryland. And then in the fall, in September, we are having a mastermind for people who have completed manuscripts or are published authors. You can get more information at inkandmagicretreat.com. I'll put on the screen. Yay. So yeah, the writing retreat was like my brainchild. It was like a dream of mine to gather a small group of people together, and the fact that this will be the third year we're doing it, I am super excited. I'm doing it with my two closest writing friends, Cerise Reddy Murphy and Dana S. Johnson. And yeah, check out inkandmagicretreat.com if you are a writer and would like to come to Maryland and hang out with us for a weekend. Hey, Kiana, thanks so much for being here. It's good to see you. So, my writing update. Last episode, I talked about Novel November. I wrote a first draft of my Black Witches/Blitches story, and I was really happy with that. And then I went back and looked at it again, thinking about revision, trying to start the revision process, making this into an actual book. And yeah, I mean, this is always the way it is. This is not anything new. One of the reasons I started this podcast is so I could record the process and remind myself every time I hit a really rough patch that I've done this before, I've gotten through it before. But yeah, first drafts are my least favorite thing. I like revision. I like taking that raw material and making it into something beautiful, like a beautiful, shiny book. But it is a hard process. Writing is hard, y'all. It's hard. And so yeah, I looked at the story that I wrote, and it matched the synopsis that I had planned to write. Always nice. Sometimes that doesn't happen. But it didn't match this idea I had in my head of what the story could be. And even though I'm not 100% sure what it should be, I feel like I'm still really far away. So I wrote some notes about the process or my progress. What I wrote is not enough layers, weak characters, revisiting multi-POV novels with strong characters. I need to make their desires much more epic. So what I did was, which is what I usually do, I went back to the beginning of the idea. The first, I went back to my notebook, which every book I write gets a notebook. I use these blank moleskin cahier journals, and I like them, no lines, blank pages inside. And I cover them with stickers, and I went back and what was I thinking about on the very beginning when I started this process. Hey, Library Addict, welcome. Yeah, so I went back through all of my notes on this Blitches story, and it's been through a lot already. I should date these. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. I don't know when I first started writing these notes. It would be really good if I did, but there's always core things that are the same. the basic, I don't know if it's not really an elevator pitch. The basic concept of the story is the same. I want to write about Black witches. I have this location in mind. Um, I have certain elements. I started with the magic system. I talked about this probably last year or the year before. So I went through all of my notes and my notebooks, in my text files, the spreadsheets that I have, the planning documents, the vision statement. As usual, I talked to my brother, who was usually my first reader, but we also brainstormed together, and we had a really good conversation about characters. And I know my characters are not interesting enough. And what he encouraged me to do was to look at their secrets. And I told him, like, I have secrets for each character. Like, I originally wanted this to be, what is it called? Unreliable narrators. I wanted to do a multi POV story because I haven't really done like multi POV since Earthsinger. I've done two POVs in like Savage City. Like technically, well, yeah, Monsters isn't really, it's all Clara's story. Daughter of the Merciful Deep is, I think that's first person Jane's story. I do have like, extra like the deities and things, but classic multi POV fantasy story is what I want to do for this because I haven't done it. And as I was planning the characters, each of them has a secret because I wanted it to be like all of them are going to tell you their story and one of them is lying, right? Or maybe they're all lying, I don't know. But right now they're not interesting enough for the reader to be like, hey, I want to follow all these characters. So I went through their secrets. My brother was like, those secrets are very dark. I was like, yeah. Tone is also an issue. Like, I'm not sure exactly what the tone of this novel should be. So he was like, look at unexpected contradictions. What music, TV shows, films do they love that are surprising? And how do they complement each other? What brings them joy? What makes them laugh? And what on their light side can motivate them? And that was really helpful too, because I don't want to be writing like dark books. That's definitely not my goal. But I do have like dark things happen to people, just like they happen to people in real life. And so trying to strike that balance again between having conflict in a novel and having characters that are struggling with things, but we're not in a place in the world where I think people want to be reading dark. Well, actually, that's not true because people read dark fiction all the time and it's very popular. So what am I talking about? I'm not in a place where I want to be writing dark things, and I don't want. Yeah, I don't know. So let's see. I started. Oh yes, after that conversation, I picked up a book that is, I don't know where it is, probably on the floor somewhere. It's called The Art of Character by David Corbett, and it's my new craft book. I think that it will be the next book in Craft Book Club, which I run on my Substack. And I'm going to announce that on the Substack at some point when I figure out the schedule. But yes, I'm really like diving into character. This is a great time to read a craft book when I'm not on deadline, when I'm not, I want to be moving forward with the story, but I still feel like I'm kind of far away. And once I know the characters even better and have a better sense of their interaction, like I want this group of people. So like take what I did with the Monsters We Defy and with 5 interesting characters that people like and make them, but this time we get all of their POVs. That's really what I'm going for. I don't know if it's going to work or not. And thanks, Kiana. Yeah, like it's hard. Oh, I forgot to turn this thing off. So that's where I am writing wise. That is the update. I am giving myself time and some space for this project because I really think it could be very cool. I'm very excited about it and I want to do it right. And it needs more cooking time. In Strength Finders, my intellection, input, deliberative. My number 3 strength is deliberative, which just means I'm slow. And I have to like continue to think about it, plus the intellection. And I'll know when it feels right. And because I have done this before, and I have confidence and faith that I will be able to do it again. In the meantime, I've been looking back at some of my short stories. So if you're on my reader newsletter, this past week I sent out a short story that was in an anthology a couple of years ago. The Loophole. Because I was confused because I was looking at several short stories that were in anthologies. My goal has been to like create, a short story collection of mine, have some new short stories in there, and have one place where everyone can have the short stories. And I still kind of want to do that, but that's taking forever. I do want to be writing more short stories, and I want to revisit the ones that I have. So I had another one in an anthology. This is the Three Time Travelers one with, it was an anthology that the call was Three Time Travelers Walk into a ... And that may or may not be the name of the anthology. So I wrote about Zora Neale Hurston, the Queen of Sheba, and Tituba from the Salem witch trials. And they're in the immortal librarians in the Mega Anim library. And if you read the story, you know that it's sort of like it comes to an end, but there's supposed to be a part two. And I never wrote part two. So in this period where I'm letting the Black Witches story simmer and noodle in the back of my mind, I want to write part two. That is my goal that I'm going to put into the universe, so you can hold me to it. Princess says that deliberative is your top three and you love it and hate it. Yeah, I love it and I hate it too. I think that deliberative makes my stories kind of richer, and I put everything into them. And if you are a reader who likes them, hopefully like you'll see that, but it takes a long time to do. And it takes a lot of mining myself, and it just takes a long time to do, which is fine. You know, I'm going to take the time it takes. Librariatic says, oh, I enjoyed that one. I hope you visit the world. It was really cool world building. Thank you. Yeah, I love that world. So the world of the Mega Anim library, where I have this library that exists throughout space and time. And basically the stacks are important historical occurrences, you know, like the Library of Alexandria burning or the Salem witch trials. And that's where you go back through a portal to that time, and then you can access various collections of human history. And yeah, I reread it. I reread the original notes, and I love that story. And I did have a part two kind of in mind, although I have to kind of see like where was I going with that. So maybe it'll be a little series. I'll do a little series of shorts in that world and bring that story to a conclusion. That's what I'm hoping to do the rest of this month and maybe into next month. And also just kind of focus on, you know, I would love to do a short story a quarter. Like I really want to do a short story every month, but I think that is not going to work with my life. But maybe at least one per quarter. And, you know, have that feeling of completion, of finishing things. That is always really nice. These little small wins that can energize you towards the longer wins, the future wins. Because my books are long, you know, my books are 110, 20, 30,000 words often. And I don't know how long Zahara is. I think I have to look at it's at least 110, 120,000 words. Yeah, speaking of Zahara, is there anything I wanted to add about that? I'm thinking about, so my next novel that comes out in 2026, August 11th, 2026, is The Inevitable Undoing of Zahara Douglas. We had the lovely cover reveal last week, was it? And I've been also kind of mapping out a long, organized marketing plan, or starting to do that. Because I really want to just make y'all so sick of hearing about this book so that I make sure people know it exists. It's my third book with Orbit. And I've really enjoyed working with Orbit as a publisher, but you know, I am a mid-lister and I don't know what support I'm going to get from my publisher in terms of promotion and marketing and all of that. So I want to do everything I can to make it, you know, shout about it. And so yeah, I'm brainstorming things. You know, since the book takes place in 1999, I want to do like lots of nostalgia stuff, lots of 90s stuff. Yeah, if anyone has any cool ideas, shoot them my way. I'm all ears, because marketing is not my strong suit or favorite thing. But I really just, I love the story. You know, I've been wanting to tell the story for 10 years. And it's changed. That book changed so much. That book, what was the Blitches is a relatively new idea. Zahara, you know, is an old idea. And I was even reading, I was going through kind of all my old unfinished things. I'm like, am I ready to finish these things? Yes, Prince. We're going to like play the 1999 song. I'm doing copy edits soon, and I have not written an epigraph at the beginning for this book. The last couple books have had epigraphs. I didn't have one in the writing process. And I was like, can I use the lyrics of 1999? I think would be not the main ones. Oh, I forget. I have to look at the lyrics again. I don't know if I have to, with like poetry, things that are, if they're copyrighted material, I don't know if it's okay to use for an epigraph. I'm not sure if it actually fits. It's just like, it would be funny. It'd be fun, maybe not funny. Anyway. Also, another thing I'm doing is, and you may have noticed if you follow my social media, I'm taking a month and focusing on sort of marketing a backlist book every month. So December, I'm marketing The Obsidian Curse, which is my most recent release, right? It came out in June of this year. It was a novella, part of a shared world, epic fantasy romance, romantasy, enemies to lovers. I really enjoyed that story. I didn't enjoy writing it, but I enjoyed the finished product. And so I have been putting out clips mostly on YouTube Shorts. And actually, I opened up my TikTok account. I found my TikTok phone. I use this old iPhone 8 for TikTok. But I also realized I can post some stuff from the website, from the desktop version, because I do not have the time and mental brain space to be on TikTok because it just sucks hours of your life away. And yeah. Yeah, thank you, Kiana. She says, I love that story. The Obsidian Curse. So anyway, I've been gathering materials. I've been trying to make little videos. Problem with this, like, it's fun. I enjoy making reels. I've done a couple of reels, but I'm mostly been putting them on YouTube Shorts and on TikTok. I'm going to put some more on Instagram because Instagram is my favorite social media, if any of them are my favorite. But the problem with this is I was a film major and I was an editor. And so I'm like, oh, I'm editing. I get to edit little videos for each, promoting these stories. And I'm trying to do a lot of them. And I'm too much of a perfectionist and I'm too much of an editor to do this in the way that needs to be done. Like, I need to be making them more quickly. And I'll spend like 2 hours on one like 20-second video. And it's just like, that's not sustainable or reasonable in any way. So I'm trying to talk about the books more, actually promote the backlist. And I'm trying to figure out a way to do it in a sustainable fashion. And it's been kind of fun. Like, I spend, a couple days a week, I'll take a chunk of time and create some content and then schedule it. But at the moment, I have not hit the sweet spot where it's something that is sustainable long term. Because right now I've been in a couple of weeks where like day job stuff was a little bit lighter. That's ramping up. I'm not on a deadline. I've sort of taken a couple, little break off the writing of the novel to do more planning and plotting and planning. So I've had time and I don't always have time. And so I would like to still do this in a way that I can do it in less time. Libraric says, think of them as dirty drafts and just post them. That's the right mindset. And I've been on this journey to not be a perfectionist, and I'm really, because it doesn't make my life better, Be a perfectionist when it matters. I guess, like, be more choosy about my perfectionism, or because I don't want to. I just have this thing about like quality, and okay, I'll tell you. Social media has, a lot of benefits, obviously, but there's a lot of noise. And I go back and forth between like, I want to promote my stuff. I want people to know about it. I'm proud of it. I would like more people to read it. And I think that there are people out there who would really enjoy these books. And it's a good way to reframe marketing. But there's so much noise and I don't want to add to the noise. And so it's like, well, if I'm putting out things that are higher quality, then there's not noise, but that's not a thing I can actually do. So shorter, sweeter, dirty drafts, give myself some grace. These are things I'm always reminding myself because it can be hard. And yeah, last thing is I am going to be this is fun for me. I'm going to be redoing my website, my author website, hopefully over Christmas break. Maybe let's not make any promises about that, but I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about tweaking my logo because my logo is L Penelope, and I will still self-publish as L Penelope, but for the time being, my traditionally published stuff is Leslye Penelope, and I've been like I've been looking at like V.E. Schwab. What does she do? Because she writes as Victoria Schwab. She writes as V.E. Schwab. There's some other authors there. I'm like, what are they doing? How are they branding and things like that? But for me, since I'm a website developer, making a new website is kind of relaxing, even as it is a little bit annoying. So those are things for the rest of the year. And I don't know. Yeah, short stories for now while I'm replotting the larger novel and working on some marketing stuff and branding. Sounds like it's a lot, which it probably is. I probably do need to like cut a few things off the list because that's not even the whole list, and I'm a little scared of my list as usual. I did want to shout out Olivia Bedford, who is an editor, and she is one of my readers. She does like some beta reading for me and some editing, and I love Olivia, and she's great. She started a new podcast for writers. It's called the Better Writer Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Her website is Olivia Helps Writers, and if you are a writer and you need a developmental editor or a book coach, I think she's fantastic. She does fantasy, romance, these genres that I write, and I always love her feedback, so I wanted to give her a shout out. Princess says, as a fellow perfectionist, I was wondering for glitches, did you feel immersed in the story when doing it in script form? Could you visualize what was happening with this method, and would you recommend? I did, yeah. One of the good things about writing the script is really being forced to think about it visually. And as I was writing it, there were things I was doing in script form that I knew I couldn't do in the novel. Like there's a scene where there's a voiceover happening from another scene while you're looking at other things happening. So it's a nice way to get some exposition in while you're still being active. I was visualizing the sets and there is like the fight scenes. And I kind of always do that anyway, because I think because I did, do script writing early on. But it was helpful in visualizing it, and that I would recommend it for that. If you are a person who has trouble visualizing, or, I don't do a lot of description generally in terms of, I'm reading a book now where every time you see a new character, you get a whole description of everything they're wearing. And I'm like, I never do that. I find it a little bit boring personally, but like to each his own, because I do get people who are like, what are they wearing? People want to know more about it. Everyone has their own taste, but I am able to see everything. And even if my characters don't always have clear faces, like I don't always know what they look like. Sometimes I'll choose an actor and then that'll be the character, but I don't always do that. But they are embodied and I can see them moving even if I can't see their facial features. So I think it's a cool experiment to try. And, if you're not trying to sell a script, then you don't have to worry too much about the format. You can, read a couple of blog posts about just general script formatting, or just make your own format and just like dialogue, action, think it through. So that part was helpful. Yeah, I think for me, where I'm falling down is it is harder to do deep character development, characterization, because in this tight script form, you don't get, you have to know character by their actions and their dialogue, and you're not getting that inner monologue, which, maybe next time I do this, I will give myself more freedom to do more inner monologue. Kiana asks, you mentioned fight scenes. Are they trained fighting? No, it's not a spoiler, and there's not trained fighting. There's just fighting of regular people who don't know what they're doing or who are fighting. There's also magical fighting. Yeah, but there is some other kind of choreography that I'm gonna have to think about how to describe in this book. There's a lot of. I will tell you that the Glitches story, the magic system, deals with what I'm calling collective magic, and I think it's just an iteration of what I've done in other books, but it is magic is stronger when you work it together than if you are doing it alone. So there's all kinds of things that are happening in unison. And that's been really fun to try to say, okay, how would they do this spell, when another person enters and they have to make room for them, and then you're all have to do something together. And yeah, so I'm playing around with, dancing, singing. I do a lot of hand games like Miss Mary Mac. I don't know, what do you call that? But like, I remember my cousins and we would do this round robin. It was the Jackson 5. Rocks in the treetops all day long. Who knows that one? So you do it with 4 people in like a square. And so stuff like that will be like magical invocations. And so, yeah, that's one of the magic systems that is part of this world that I'm kind of excited about. Because it's like, okay, Black culture, magic, how do you, what is something I haven't done before that I think would be interesting but still fits? And that is you do in a group, you know, for one, like a common purpose. Okay, I think that's it for me. That's all I had to talk about. Christmas is coming. For those who celebrate, I am almost, I've almost done all my Christmas shopping, which is unusual for me because I don't often start until like the 21st. Ooh, Library Addict says Jane Ann Krentz has like 7 pen names of her career. And okay, nice. I will check out. I know that she teaches at the Muse Writer Center. I believe she does. And I have taught there too. So thank you. I will check out all of her pen names. Jane Castle and Amanda Quick and Jane Ann Krentz. Yeah, that's a lot to manage. But examples of how other people have done it are very, very helpful. I hope that everyone has a good holiday season. And it's very cold here in Maryland right now, but maybe we'll have a white Christmas. I think I'm beyond the age when that is actually. That just means a lot of shoveling for me now because I have a lot of steps. But yes, I will. My goals are to finish some stuff, hopefully some short stuff, continue working on the character building, replotting. Hopefully I'll be writing again in January, doing my revision, and I can get something to my agent in the spring. That's the goal. Thank you all for being here. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I will see you hopefully sometime soon. And yeah, have a great rest of your day.